Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Newark Citizen Forum. Once again, I'm here with my co-host Anton Wheeler and Dr. Chris Burnell. How y'all doing?
How you doing, man?
Good, glad.
How's everything?
You all right,
How
though,
you
man?
doing,
I know you.
Wow.
I'm fine.
I know you upset about Irvington, man. You okay?
I'm all right, bro.
You
I
wanna
want to talk
discuss
about
it?
my
You
job.
wanna
Can't
discuss it?
now. I don't.
You don't want to
That's all.
discuss?
Let's keep it.
We always keeping secrets on the show.
I don't have any secrets, bro.
They will be exposed.
I just like my job. Right?
And y'all know I'm raw now. Don't be holding nothing back. So we had a few issues that we want to discuss. The first issue that I wanted to talk about was actually the crime in the city of Newark. And Mayor Booker was on WBGO, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, and he made a statement that they did research and they're aware, and this isn't word for word, but I think his quote was something like, they are aware that, let me see what's that.
Yeah.
Says no, that if you are involved, we now sat down with Rutgers and have shown that if you are shot in the city of Newark, as the shooting demonstrates that we just saw, if you are shot in the city of Newark, you have over an 80% chance that you have been arrested before, an average of 10 times. Now, that's the problem I have with
That's
the
the
statement.
Stanford articulation of what Sharp James said a few years ago.
Well, beyond the fact that he's actually saying they're not shooting at me,
Me.
right? Which is what he really
That's
got.
what he really said.
What he really said. That's actually said that he criticized Mayor James for.
Exactly.
When he was running against Mayor James. So besides that point, right? The problem I have is him saying now. This is right. Here's a mayor who says that he loves Newark. He's been involved in Newark for a number of years. That he's been on the ground, working in the vineyards in the city of Newark. He's been a part of the community. He's been walking the streets. He slept in a RV. He slept under the tent. You know, all these things that this mayor has created this image of himself out there. And he says now after, from the time I've known Corey since 1998, so you're talking here about 13 years now, right? So, and he's been here, he was actually before 1998. So, after all these years, he has now come to the realization that if you are involved in crime, and they have to do a study. I mean, this is the key. This is what I'm saying, how far gone, out of touch with reality in the city of Newark. This is why I've always said that he's naive to me. This is how far out of touch of reality in the city. He could have actually knew this a year after he was actually on, if he was really in Newark, if he was really on the grounds in Newark, if he really did what he said in Brick Towers and all those places he said that he lived. If he really were a part of that, it shouldn't have taken 13 years for Rutgers to do a study and for him to actually read that, if you're involved in crime, more than likely you're going to be shot.
Well, I'm going to defer on my diatribe, and I'll let the lady go first, because I don't even want to touch the issue, because what I'm going to say, you and Doc clearly are going to agree, because I said
Just say your point.
I said a few shows ago, you don't love Newark.
He doesn't
love Newark.
To me,
it's not about Newark. He doesn't love Newark. Now, how do you take that?
That's hyperbole.
Right, because
Okay.
that's not
This is what I'm saying.
Right. I think with the issue of crime,
I understand that.
and this guy
So
is
not
on WEO now because crime is going up, and he has no answer for crime, which he never had one. And I told him when he was running, why are you running on this notion that you have
That's
an
my
answer?
point. To lie to Newark is not to love Newark. To lie with police statistics, as you're going to prove right now, is not to love the people in this town.
Right.
It is to market this town for regentrification, for profit. That's all it's about. So that's what I mean when I say he doesn't love Newark. He loves his image first.
Sure.
He loves the image that is projected of him coming into this city with these problems and trying to fix and save it. He doesn't love the fact that it is grit-bearing work. He doesn't love the fact that you have to be here in the face of people you may not like and can't stand to really deal with the issues that are here. One thing that Ken Gibson and Sharp James did, they were two mayors that were accessible.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Not an entourage of security around them, of things of that nature. Never many media cameras following them around, but they were here about the business, even if it was just to shake a hand and say hello, of the people. Not about rebuilding the image and disrespecting the people. All right, so to say that it took 13 years after you slept in the tent, which you know for a fact he never was really in it all the time.
Well, he was in the tent.
He was in the tent how
I
many
was there with
times?
him.
You was there with him one time, bro.
He was in the
And you
tent.
and it, come on,
Y'all
man.
team
Man, you had this discussion before you even
I said that
endorsed him,
it's
that
the
he
way-
wasn't in the tent all the time. You
No,
still
that's not what I
endorsed
said.
him.
I said he wasn't in the RV.
That's the same thing. The
No, the
tent,
tent RV is two separate.
All right, regardless, none of the
events.
gimmicks work because it didn't improve any of the conditions where he was.
Right.
Him doing the patrol with the governor here, that time the night patrol, didn't improve any of the conditions that was here,
Right.
that are in our community.
Right.
And I just think that what he's proven is that he has no solutions.
Right.
I think he's proven that everything is about a soundbite and rhetoric right now until he gets out of here. That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
So, but see, Doc, and I don't want us to miss this point, right? Because I do understand what Anton said, but this is a bigger point to
Bigger
me
point. It's a
when
bigger
this
point.
guy talking about crime. Here's a mayor who goes around this country and he's pretty much built his reputation off the fact that he solved crime
Right.
in the city of Newark. That he was able to bring down the crime trend in the city of Newark. And now that he sees that crime trends go up and down, right? And that there's really nothing, unless you take a town out of unless we get rid of this poverty that exists in this town, unless we get rid of the illiteracy that's in this town, unless we get rid of the high unemployment in this town, that there's really not going to be that great of a solution to crime because these people are surviving, right?
Right.
But the problem that I'm having with him
Is that
is
it
that
just
he
happens
actually got on WGO and said that now we like he announcing something to the public
That we
that
didn't
I've
already
known
know.
all my life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
I'm just that's the problem I got with
I
it.
mean, I'm not going to, let's say, be upset at the fact that a study was finally done. We can question the timing of the study because I believe, as the article states here, from the interview that he did with WGBO, is that this study looked at a length of time between 2009 to
Right.
2010.
Right.
I can just tell you from a public health perspective, when you look at what is affecting the health or the well-being of the citizens of a community, and you look at crime as a facet of something that is a negative deterrent to health and to well-being, you must look at the tributaries of crime, right?
Correct.
You
Correct.
must look at what's feeding it and then what happens because of it. I really could have told you this before the study was done. You could have told him this. You could have told him that. But I see this in the youth prison exactly. I spent a lot of time in the Essex County Juvenile Detention Center, just working with the residents and volunteering with them. And the saddest thing that's happening, let's say on a microscopic level, is also happening on a macro level. We don't rehabilitate people.
Right.
Right? So we have, alarming rates of recidivism. We have people who aren't rehabilitated, and we have people who don't see a viable alternative to a life of crime.
That's right.
So if we begin to compete against crime, in a sense, we need to compete against crime via opportunities. I think we should have had a more, let's say, a sharper focus from the door, not just with getting the murder rate to go down, because there was a huge emphasis around, okay, let's get the murder rate to go down in Newark. Then Newark won't be a bloody city. True, we save lives when the murder rate goes down, but as you mentioned, is this just an ebb and flow? Is this just a cyclical
because
nature to what is happening? It will be, unless you get at the
But did we
reasons
really
of causing
take
harm.
the murder rate down, or did we move statistics?
We more statistics.
You know what I'm saying?
We start reporting things on county roads. So if
Exactly.
someone got killed on this
Exactly.
road, it was a county road, so the
Exactly.
county was
Exactly.
parked. Somebody get
Exactly.
killed in a park, it was a
Exactly.
county issue.
Valid.
Exactly.
My thing is this though. What happens, I
Also,
believe-
I was told that there's a difference between someone who is murdered and a homicide.
well, they play with those numbers and
Yeah.
statistics.
You know what I'm saying?
I
So-
mean, like people have died
Which I'm
because they
not
were
ashamed
shot
of that.
days
Right.
later.
And it's
People have gotten
generated
shot. They've died days later, and they haven't called it murder or homicide or whatever. They've called it death because of whatever failure happened because of the gunshot wound.
for,
You understand what I'm trying to say?
physiological reasons,
My thing is this though.
homicide.
I don't believe he ever had a solution to the crime issue. Because I look at it this way. If you can persuade an individual to donate $100 million for educational takeover, and then you can get that match within a month by 40 million, you can get 40 million more, all right, to help with educational takeover, then some of that money could have been diverted to do a real serious prisoner reentry program and use the educational system and our resources to deliver it. We could have used some of that money, All right. So to better to deal with some of the issues.
Specifically, some of the Zuckerberg money.
Some of the
should've been
Zuckerberg
used,
money
but he
shouldn't
didn't
be
give it
used.
under that pretense.
Well, the
We
reality
wanted
to it
use
is he gave it under the pretense for what the battle Cory Booker said he was fighting for. Education at that point.
Right, but I don't see Mark Zuckerberg fighting crime in Newark.
All right. But what I'm saying
I don't
is,
see Mark Zuckerberg dealing with education and all, but
but my reality to that is you could have created a program through an educational facet that can deal with crime and those socioeconomic issues because our educational system is going to get better.
he's
until we deal
under
with
the
those
assumption that the $100 million, if Investor Wright would,
Yes,
you know what I'm saying,
he's coming at
stop
it
people
as,
from
you know,
crime.
if people are better educated,
Okay, right.
when people
And I don't
are
disagree with that.
self-actualized,
And I don't
make
disagree
better
with that.
choices. I don't disagree with that either.
Right, right.
But I'm saying we have to be a little bit more sophisticated and a little bit more savvy when we're saying we're attacking crime to make sure we truly are attacking crime by attacking the things that feed or contribute to
Well,
it.
But
those
to-
are the
but to me,
things.
isn't that
Those are the
future
things. Poor
crime?
education,
But to me, but to
poor
me,
health condition,
but to me,
poor living conditions,
but Anton, to me,
poor
isn't that,
poor job prospects.
but isn't that future crime, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we got crime that exists now, and there are conditions that exist now. Like we just went to the opening of the prison, the new jail,
Yeah,
the
$56
the new,
million, right?
The new. Oh, let me tell you, building is beautiful.
That's
by
a
the way.
community room, right?
Well, the community room about big as this room, but that's another subject. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But, it's about big as this room, but that's another subject. A little bit
Wow.
bigger. You know what I'm saying? But let me be. You know, I mean, I'm telling you, that building is. You should have been on that building. Is awesome. Y'all missed a great tour today. That building is awesome. You know what I'm saying? And the jail is. They got 10 to a cell now. You got people 10. It's ridiculous over there.
So all of that is
Highland
housed in
House.
that unit there.
Everything is housed in there, so now they done moved the director office over there.
So essential book.
So, I mean, this is,
So
so hopefully
essential
this is
bookings,
supposed to
yeah.
anchor the director and
Yeah.
the chief of police said, you know, and you know, let me say something to you. And I'm warming up to this director. I never had an issue with him in the beginning, but one of the things that I do respect about the guy is that he does understand the need for their presence to be in the community.
You ready to do the Hulk Hogan on you, Ron?
No. First of all, I had an issue with how they treated. First of all, I had an issue how they treated Brother Sharif. That's a separate issue from what I'm actually saying.
He's a
that
good
I'm
cop,
actually
man.
yes.
He's a good
understanding that here's a guy that's from the city of Newark that understands. Now that doesn't mean that there aren't police politics that I still think he plays into, by the way.
Oh, definitely.
Right,
You know
they're
what
all
I'm saying?
politicians,
Okay,
Rob.
yeah, but
They're all
that,
politicians.
unfortunately, the police thing can be a little intense if you deal with the police department. I deal with the police department, so I know. But I'm saying but I do get that he has a sense of what the community, what he has to do to anchor.
He's attached
in
to
the
it. I
community,
believe he's
right?
attached to it.
And so he moves his offices. Because at first I thought they just wanted to move there because it's a new building and look good, right? But then when I thought about it, I said, you know what? It's actually a legitimate reason why he's
police
saying that he's
director-
moved
that's
his
right, police
office
director
there.
coming down
Because
on
now
Fifth
you
Avenue.
have, exactly, you got the police
Fifth Avenue on Burger
director,
Street.
you got the chief of police,
the captain of
all
the
in
South
that
District,
building.
emergency management
And when you
SWAT.
look out their windows, brother, it's all the hot spots you can actually see
Right.
from their windows, right? And so I'm like, if that deters crime, right, and if they see this big presence, right, listen, to me, the South Ward should be one of the safest wards in the city at this point, based on where the
It's not going to happen in a day because
It's gonna
because
take
it's going to
some
take a
time.
lot of time.
But I'm saying though,
It's
based
gonna take
on that, you know.
But
I mean, you know, I think, this argument that the mayor said. See, this is what I'm saying. The difference, right? Here, really, here DeMayo came in as a director, and he sees a facility that really wasn't intended to be. It was really supposed to just be the Office of Management, the Fifth Ward Precinct. Really wasn't intended to be their main office. But here was a guy who didn't take because he understands Newark, because he's born and bred in the city.
And then we
he
still leasing the
understood
buildings
that.
that they bought back from
Right.
the county.
He
Let's
understood
talk about that.
Well, we're really leasing this building too, to be honest with you.
We leasing everything.
We're leasing this from the housing authority. But here's a director that understands the problem, understands what the city needs, and right off the bat, when he goes up there and he sees the building, he decides, you know what? Let me move the headquarters of the police department down here, because I think that if we're within the community, that we would have a better response to crime.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Instead of saying statements that, well, chances is if you out there shooting guns, you're gonna get shot, right?
But
He's saying,
I don't think that young
you know-
lady that was sitting on the porch talking to her friend that got killed, that was a mother of a little girl. You know, I don't think.
well, he
she
didn't
was
say
all.
all. He said,
But the problem is
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
make blanket statements like that, no matter how articulate, you know how.
But Anthony, he's
But
right. The problem is not that he's
reading
not
it
right.
He's reading it from a study, so
Right.
he's not just coming up.
but that, the problem is not that he's not right. The problem's not that right. The problem I have is that
we already knew it.
wow, it actually took you this
Your
long.
issue is the time and that the
Yeah.
relevancy of why now are you saying that this trend is so pronounced, that this is the reason
Because
behind
I think
the
he
crime?
failed at his crime.
Well, the problem I have
He's
because
exposed.
he was a kid that came into the city that was supposed to be making changes within the city, right? And he was supposed to have all these unique ideas on what he wanted to do to transform, whatever that means, urban. You may know New Newark.
According to Professor Price,
tra-
in 30 to 40 years, there
Right.
is a new North.
Right.
Carolina
Okay.
South North. So,
I
hey,
see.
I'll feel that.
Transform. I mean, he's supposed to be transformed in the way urban,
that
the
was his
urban agenda,
agenda,
right?
yeah.
And so, you know, it took him this long, this guy who was supposed to be having all these ideas, who had his feet on the ground to understand this. Because to me, when you just understand, meaning that you're just coming up with the ideas that tackle the crime issue.
Is he just
That's what I'm
understanding
saying.
it, or let me just get at the root of the issue. Are you saying what commissioned the study, what led Rutgers to do the study at this time? Because it's not, I'm not even gonna speak for whether he's just coming to this epiphany or whether he's just coming to this
You
understanding.
think it's just an excuse?
It could just be an opportune time for him to speak about it because this is when the study was done. It could be that.
I don't believe that either because when he was Councilman Rocker the first time, he did a commission on crime, all right, in this city. And he had people come and give testimony and talk about what were the direct effects of crime in the different
Right.
ways. Councilman Baraka did that at the time when
Did
he was first
we
on the council.
talk about that most
The Cornwall
victims
Institute and all
right.
those things came, and we had people from UMDMJ. I was on that panel. A lot of different people were on that panel talking about these same very issues that he's saying was spoken about in this study here. So that's what makes it even more fluff to me that he would even mention it.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm trying to say? That there have been people in this community trying to tackle these issues for since they've been around. I just think that he doesn't have a clear-cut understanding of what it means to take crime down in this city.
Okay.
I think that he doesn't
Do
understand
you think
that.
this? I just think this guy is naive. He's clueless, really, about really what. I mean, to me, the whole education.
Thank you. There it is. That's it. She said, that's all I've been trying to say.
About certain issues.
When you lack it, listen, love is tolerance. That's what I mean when I say what I say. And when you lack a sensitivity to people's issues,
I mean, I guess
then
we
what
could probably talk about the crime issue all day, I think. But, I think that the end result, though, unless we really change the conditions and environment that these people live in the city of Newark, I really don't I don't think
yes.
that we change. There was another issue that, it just happened, actually, this week, and that is that Councilman Ron Rice came out, announcing an exploratory committee to run for the 10th congressional seat. I was when the press called me, they had the way the questions, and I want to say I think Dave, because I want to give a shout out to my man David Giambusso. I think he does good. So he always say if we're gonna talk about the articles, we need to give him a shout out.
I think he's too
So I want to give my
sensitive,
man
though.
David
I think he's too
Giambusso.
sensitive, 'cause I never even named him by name, so I can write.
Yeah, but I do want to give my man David Giambusso some credit.
Dave, I love
here.
you, man. Power to the people.
The articles are great, Dave. When the questions were first when they were posed to me, it was really posed to me.
Is the article great because you in it?
Huh?
Is the article great
'Cause
because
you are.
you
Well,
in it?
any article I'm in is great. So.
You are all
But the only problem that I have with articles is that it doesn't. The only problem that I have with articles is the article. Most articles that I'm quoted in is that it really doesn't get really into the substance of what I'm actually trying to say, because what they try to do is take.
Right, that's their job.
Soundbite. Right.
That's
But the
their job.
problem is it don't. It never really sounded the way I wanted to sound. And and because the question really was posed about old and new.
right.
Right. The relationship, or rather, will be a strained relationship on the council between Ron now and Donald Payne, since that's his son, and what the impact of that was, and so I was trying to give them an understanding that this really isn't about the old and new, right? Just a big part of why it is that we got Cory Booker is because we didn't plan ahead, right?
Right.
And that really what Ron doing is plan ahead. It's not that he thinks he can beat Donald Payne or that he's disrespecting Donald Payne at this point. It's just that he's saying, listen, I have to, we can't keep waiting. We can't wait for permission, right? Somebody has to do it, right?
Donald
And
Payne did it against Rodino.
Exactly.
Right.
And so I think what he's saying
Several
is,
times.
so really what Ron is saying, he is saying that I have interest. I think that I can do good in Congress, that the congressman is getting up there in age, that he can't do it forever, and that somebody has to
shouldn't be
replace him
expected
one
to
day.
do it
Right.
forever.
And that somebody has to
Exactly.
replace him one day. And so this
Right.
is not, to me, this is because because unfortunately we're gonna have a lot of our elders, because this is what they tend to do, right? They tend to come at us on these attacks stating, who do you think you are? What
Oh,
have
I
you
know.
done?
I know.
It ain't your time. I
Right.
mean, you hear all these different excuses on why
Right.
you shouldn't do something, but the problem is they never say why we should do it.
Right.
Right? And nor do they ask themselves, you didn't wait. You
Right.
didn't wait for permission.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You didn't turn around. So why is it
Right.
that Ron Rice should have to wait? But, I'm just curious, what do you think about Ron running?
I think that one of the best things that he can do probably is to run now. I think that at this present time, he can weigh in nationally on some of the policy agendas and shifts that are getting ready to happen. I think that with all of the different neoconservative leftovers that are still there, we need fresh, young, new ideas that are able, one, to stretch and seek counsel from the old and the wise to move a new agenda forward that can move our country forward. I noted in one of the articles where Congressman Payne said he's brought millions of dollars to the district.
Yes.
I would like to know through what mechanisms and what policy. And I believe those are some of the things that Ron will challenge on. What direct policy has benefited the 10th Congressional District in the state of New Jersey? And I think that that's one of the things that, because I spoke with Ron, and I think that's where his heart is really trying to deal with the issues that are in our district.
Definitely.
And you can be on a global committee for Africa and all these things, and yes, problems abroad affect us here. But when you have a murder rate in your congressional district, particularly in the city of your home, Newark, New Jersey, and you don't bring, federal insight to try to deal with some of those issues, then, maybe there needs to be a Ron Rice who can direct that type of time and develop that type of policy initiative to deal with those things. Am I supporting him for Congress? It's my peer. He's my contemporary. I believe he deserves a shot. Why not?
Most definitely, wholeheartedly. I was excited to see Councilman Rice step forward. We need bright, bold minds, and we need them on a national scale. And we need for Newarkers to see that there's not only one person who can wear this hat.
Mm-hmm.
And so often we get trapped in this vision of this person plays this role and this person plays that role. We need young voices. We need people to begin to challenge the status quo. That does not mean you disrespect Congressman Payne, but it is a recognition of there is a shifting happening.
Right.
There's a shifting happening, as there should be with time, with every
Right.
successive generation. We should be agitating for change. We should be agitating for social progress. So what this says is that it's valid that someone else can step up to the plate, and that he wears the policy hat quite well. Even if you're at council meetings, he is
Yes.
rooted in policy.
Yeah.
Councilman Rice is rooted in policy, and we need someone who's going to deal and tackle with policy hands-on, who's going to be able to say, okay, this is a policy perspective, and this is what actually happens on the ground. So I welcome this. This is encouraging. People were talking about, getting fresh faces to actually run for, this particular seat back in the spring, and probing and asking like who's going to step forward.
Right.
And so when I saw this and that he was, establishing an exploratory committee, my hat was off to him immediately.
But, I think to me, this brings up a different point. And it's something that I'm hoping that one day we can get from politics. To me, it's black politics, too. And that is that there's ownership
Right.
of a seat. And it ain't, and I want because this ain't just about Donald, right?
No.
This is Congressman Payne. This is really about the whole black experience when it comes to politics. That even when you look across this country, that historically what we've done is wait around. We've said to people, "Oh, you can be here as long as you want. You can die in a seat." I was just at a Mildred Crump event, and I heard Speaker Oliver get up and make the statement, "Oh, Mildred, you can have this seat." I'm like, who are you to say that? You know what I'm saying? That's not against Mildred. I mean, because I support Mildred. But the notion but that's the problem. To me,
No one
to make those
owns-
type of statements,
Yeah, no.
to make those type of statements to anybody, you know what I'm saying, it makes it seem like, we don't have any other options out
Right,
there,
right.
that all we have, you know what I'm saying, that we got to turn around and have the people in office for 30, 35 years. You know what I'm saying, that we supposed to sit back and just continuously allow this, knowing that we now raising our family. See and this is the argument that I've had with my elders in this city for years when I became a business, because I was lucky to have a guy who brought me in. JJ brought me in. He mentored me, and he prepared me to take over. So it was a different situation, and most of my peers didn't have that. So I had a unique opportunity, and I used to have this argument with my elders all the time about, you know, this notion that somehow we have to wait, that you got to wait your turn, and you're not ready. You know what I'm saying? But yet, you know, when I sit up there and I talk to them, I'm sitting up there like, yeah, but your family, you raised your family. You've taken care of your family. Your home is purchased. You know, my peers right now, we're going through a struggle right now. We're trying to come out of college. We're trying to find a job. Unemployment is high. We're trying to pay for a mortgage. We're trying to take care of our kids, and yet and still, we're dealing with policies to me that are antiquated, right, to what the times need today, and yet we still waiting around because of politics or because of this black politic in all African American communities, where it says that somehow that once you get a seat, you own that seat. And if somebody leaves that seat, either a family member gets into the seat, or it's like we're passing things down.
We see nepotism in other countries as well, but there is truly.
No, but here it's really bad.
I think it's more than a nepotism. I think it's more of a historical entitlement. And I think that what happens is once they groom themselves in their own, they forget about everybody else. One of the biggest problems I have is that most of these guys, when they get elected, they had hearts of lions. But when it's time to speak truth to power, they cower like little timid mice. I have a problem with that. I have a problem that when a person can spend more time in another continent, but really not do the work in the business of policy that directly benefits and help this district. I have a problem with that. Nothing against the congressman, nothing against his son. Please don't see me in the street and act crazy. I don't have time for that. What I'm saying is, if it's about a policy debate, if it's the 77-year-old congressman, or if it's his son, or if it's his brother, stand him next to a podium and let's talk about some issues. And let's really, I don't want to hear that you march with Dr. Martin Luther King, because we already got our benefit of that. And you know what? You march with Dr. Martin Luther King, and we still talking about the things he was fighting for 50 years later. So listen, maybe we do need some new energy to go in and deal with the things that are facing our community. Maybe we do need a new mind that is looking from a different point of view, frame of reference, that say, hey, you weren't wrong, but maybe if you add a little bit of this, we can come out with that. And what I'm also tired of is the notion, I thought about what you said a few shows ago about opponents and enemies. And what I'm also tired of is people who, when you're not with them on one thing, they're angry with you for the rest of your life.
For the rest of your life.
And that's really bad in our community.
That's terrible.
In our community.
You know why?
It's not, now that is not in other communities.
No disrespect. And what I mean by that is that usually those cats are soft as drugstore cotton.
Right.
So I mean no disrespect is not an ego thing. What I'm saying is, if that is how you deal with business, then you shouldn't be in leadership. I'm not saying, because Napoleon Bonaparte said one time, in order to experience absolute greatness, you have to do absolute petty things sometimes. But what I'm saying is, to be petty and hold a grudge forever, to stop people from getting jobs, or say people can't have the line and things of that nature, it's ridiculous. You understand what I'm saying? Because then what that shows me is you have afflictions and insecurities. And this leadership position is all you have to exert who you really want to be. And then you're not doing the job. Because we have politicians here and people that elected office that are retired on the job. Yeah. They come to work when they feel like it.
But that's the point, though.
Let me say this. Everywhere else we applaud innovation, but in politics.
That's right.
Yes.
We do not
applaud
that.
Innovation.
That's right.
Exactly, Doc. Oh, that's great, Doc. I like that, because you're right.
And that's something that we need to be able to talk about. We too easily accuse the younger generations of being uninterested and disaffected.
Right.
But we don't give them opportunities to have a voice and to speak that
voice.
And when they do speak that voice, they're being told, oh wait, you're speaking out of turn. Or they're being told, you don't have enough experience to speak to this matter. And that's not how innovation works.
But yet I could be the same age as their son or daughter.
True.
They could put their son or daughter out there who probably couldn't find two coherent sentences in the daytime with a flashlight. And that's happened.
But if we are going to move our city forward, if we're going to move our culture forward, we have got to include and invite more people to the table.
Yes, we do.
The younger the generation, the younger the person, the less likely they are to be ideologically parked. I mean, I sit here and I won't move.
So
I respect what you're doing, Ron. I respect.
You know what? I like
nothing against the pains. I respect what you're doing.
And you know what? I actually like that, because we don't reward innovation in politics. I agree. We don't promote it.
We don't.
But based on, and I mean on that same line, there was a Speaker Oliver's speaker now, so
it was a leadership fight,
but there was a leader. Well, I don't even know if I want to call it a fight. There was a rumor.
There was an attempted
There was an
coup.
attempted coup.
Well, she came out fighting, so she felt like it was a fight.
Right.
Yeah, you know, did she fight? Or did the power brokers
Well, let
fight?
me just say,
right?
she came out very aggressive.
Right, but you know, but here's the problem, right? Because you know,
Perceived fight.
here's the issue that I have. Because you know, once again, it's the personal thing. Because I know those people ain't speaking to me now, but I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I mean, folks should know me right now because it ain't personal to me. Because I actually like Sheila Oliver. I do.
Right.
I mean, you know, so this is never personal.
She's a
to
good
me.
person.
So
She's a
I
good
know,
person.
I noticed,
She's a
I
good
noticed that
person.
little
Great person.
thing that people decide they want to walk by me now after I made my post on Newark Speak. Well, Newark Speaks is a powerful blog.
yes,
Y'all
it is.
understand that? Y'all understand the power of Newark Speak. But you know, I'm sitting up here, and if somebody asked me, was I going to speak at Oliver event? And I said to the person that, you know, was she a good Democrat? Because I was like, why should I go? So they said, well, you know, we need to protect the first African American female speaker of the state. And I said, well, wait a minute. Is this about protecting African American spot? Or are we about making sure that Speaker Oliver is a good Democrat, right? And so here we had this hastily press conference that was thrown together. And now after they read, I want you to be clear that they made these changes. I want both of y'all to be clear. After I posted this on Newark Speaks, now I want y'all to understand I am taking credit for what they did at the Rocket
It's
Tree
not
Hotel.
much things you don't take credit for.
Yeah, but no, I'm sorry. I'm gonna take credit
Take
for.
Take your credit.
I'm gonna take credit for this, bro, because they changed the whole. You didn't even see the power brokers at the podium. I want you to be clear. You know, I had to find this picture right here with the guy sitting in the picture because the one that went into the press, he wasn't in that picture. You only seen the black ministers sitting
black
up
clergy.
there, the black clergy. They was all surrounding speaking, made it seem like it was this force, African American force that we standing up for shit. First of all, Doc, what's up with the ministers in politics? And why is it that we, you know, it seems like
Why are ministers involved in politics or what?
Well, I know why they are.
Why shouldn't they be?
Why shouldn't it be?
I'm sorry, the pulpit is not where you get up and talk about, if I don't support you, I'm the devil.
No,
I mean,
but
you,
I'm saying-
when you get on the mic and you
It
make
is when you
statements
get
like,
money from the county.
If you,
no, but here's the problem I have is that I'm not saying that ministers should not be involved in politics. I'm talking when they bring the religion or the church into politics. When Reverend Jackson tries to make a claim that somehow, because he's in charge of the Black Minister Council, that he controls the black vote in northern New Jersey, I'm saying that is nonsense. I'm saying that when I sit into a political meeting and I hear a minister who get up there and say that the devil, that God's going to make right the devil, like if we don't want that, then we're devils, that they're making these,
Right.
you know what I'm
We should
saying,
not
these
support
statements.
devils
But
for
like
not
this,
supporting her.
Before you
exactly.
go into your point, it's funny you
Exactly.
say that.
What is going on with
Because
that?
Herman Cain, Al Sharpton alluded to something like that in a memo he sent out about Herman Cain. And I understand what you're saying, infusing God's divine intervention
Right, like I'm
into
the devil,
whether or
right,
not a
right.
person is qualified to be there.
That's a
One
part of
thing,
our cultural lore.
cultural thing, and let me say this to you, as a female and as a professional and as a doctor, working as hard as you did to go through medical school, would you want someone to put you on their staff of their hospital just because you were black?
Of course not.
Exactly. So I have that from a professional
But I
woman. Wait.
know
I
from-
Of
have
course
that.
not, but would I still take an opportunity? Of course I would.
Okay.
Then I would prove myself.
But that's not the point here.
You see
My
what I'm
thing
saying?
is, what's good is a symbol if the symbol is not effective.
But
But if you got an opportunity, even if the opportunity was only given to you because of symbolism, but then show in that opportunity performing.
Well, that's
standing,
So then the
Exactly.
better question is, has she been an effective speaker?
Well, that's the question to me. Well, see, that's what I'm trying to say. The question to me isn't the fact on whether we support Sheila. The question is, and that's what I'm saying, in the press conference, they changed it. What they did was, all of a sudden now, if you read the articles, you see that they started saying, we're not here for Sheila because she's the first black.
Yes.
We're here because she's the good, because I wrote in my post on the North Speak that you shouldn't be there for that reason. You should be there because she's a good speaker.
Well, this is
at least I respect you for that position. And so they started changing their
Right.
positions because that was not their first position
No, it wasn't.
when they were going to the thing, because I was asked to go there based on a certain position. But what I'm trying to say here is my point that I'm trying to make is that Sheila Oliver, if she was a good speaker, would not need Reginald Jackson, Joe D, or doing, because you're absolutely correct. She was given an opportunity. And if she was a good speaker, the community would rally behind her, or the fact that she's a good speaker. However, when we have to have Joe D and Norcross still meeting, you know what I'm saying, to make deals. I mean, just read it. This wasn't about Sheila. Come on, y'all. This is just one article.
Yeah.
I want y'all to understand something. There are 2 or 3 articles linked to this that says
That's
about
right.
what was going on in Hudson
South
County
Jersey,
with Newark
right.
Falls, that he was
my
meeting with,
problem
all
I
to get
have
this
is
deal
as
created.
Speaker, you know what my problem is? As speaker, the first thing she did, because I asked was she an effective speaker, one of the first things she did was give a budget championship to a person who has 3 jobs. That's a problem. And then she has a couple herself. That's a problem. When we're dealing with record unemployment and things of that nature, a person who is going to be in charge of the Assembly Budget Committee has 3 jobs. And up until recently, a year or 2 ago, his wife had a public job for $45,000, $50,000.
But see,
No, Rob. That's
I don't
insensitive. We talked about that a minute
It's
ago.
a valid challenge.
That's insensitivity.
Yeah, but listen what I'm saying to you.
That would, for me, would determine
I know,
whether
but
or not
you're not-
she's a good speaker.
Right, but you're not gonna stop those type of
was gonna
situations
say,
because
that
I don't know if
speaks
that
to
was
a
necessarily
larger
her or if
culture.
that was somebody else.
It doesn't
saying
matter.
that.
As a speaker, she's supposed to be a leader.
No, but here's the issue that I have with. Here's the issue I got with Speaker Oliver. This is my issue with Speaker Oliver, is that Speaker Oliver, to me, because I like Speaker Oliver and I really know her positions, she is a very progressive
She is.
legislature.
Yes, she is a very-
However,
she is
I'm
very
saying to you that progressive fight in her was tamed. It was tamed. It was tamed by the North Falls of the world. It was tamed by the Joe D's of the world. And I'm saying that I am upset that she allowed herself to be tamed by these folks because she is a progressive legislator, because she is about working people issues, and she allowed for these hypocritical power brokers to come up here and say to her, well, you know, screw the working folks, screw the labor, you know what I'm saying? She'll push the bill through anyway without labor's input. And then we turn around here and then, you know, working people pay more out of their pocket, right? But this is after the hypocrites, right, benefited from the system.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying to you, this, you know, so my problem with her isn't the fact that I don't believe she's a progressive legislator or that she would be a progressive. It's the problem that if you got the Norcrosses of the world, the Joe D's of the world, ensuring that you're the speaker, then they turn around and want to ensure that you push their agenda.
Right.
And their agenda have to be, listen, Chris Christie, to me, has not given up any of his Republican principles.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, he hasn't moved an inch to none of them. Yet they continue to move.
I'm a teacher. He has.
But right, he hasn't given any of his branches.
Yes.
And I respect that man for that because he stands true. That's why I like this guy. I'm sorry, rather I don't like his policies,
Who you
but I
like,
like
Chris
him.
Christie?
Yes, I like him as a man because at the end of the
He
day,
stands on what
he
he's
stands
about.
on what he
He's a bully.
believes in.
He's a bully.
Right?
Well,
And so
he's a bully with
yeah,
principles.
but guess what? But he stands on his principles.
He's a bully.
Right? So the deal is you have to respect a guy like that.
Right.
I'm saying if Sheila Oliver stands on her principles, then just as much as I say, you know, I might not vote for Chris Christie because I don't like his policies, but at the end of the day, me and Christie can sit at the table as men and we can discuss issues based on the fact I know what he's dealing with, and he know what I'm dealing with, and let's work an agenda out. But he has not moved on anything. They moved to his side of the equation, and they didn't stand on their democratic principles. And now I'm supposed to turn around and say, oh, you are a good democratic speaker? Because that, come on, I don't believe in that.
What made you think Joe Crime was going to be different?
I think Joe Crime would have been. I'm sorry, I think he would have.
He's part of the same power structure, man.
That's my issue.
Sorry, he came out, Joe Crime came out challenging this. He came out challenging him. Joe Crime came out, and listen,
He shared
Jay,
offices with
and
lesbians.
y'all know I don't, listen, y'all know I'm not defending
He came out
lesbians.
challenging
so.
him when he wasn't in the position of
He
a
was a majority speaker.
I know, but he
leader.
wasn't in the position of a speaker. Let me just say this. This is very similar to the critiques that we hear about President Obama. Very.
Oh, I agree.
We don't like his style of
Exactly, I
leadership.
agree.
He's too timid. I want him to be more aggressive. But I think that almost belies the point that there is a certain amount of nuance that happens in any political position. What I mean by that is you can go in as bold as you want to be, but there's a certain amount of bureaucracy, there's a certain amount of bias, there's a certain amount of jury rigging that makes the let's just say the system less conducive to what you want to have accomplished in the time frame that you want to have it
But Chris
accomplished.
Huss is different.
But
Because
what
somebody
I'm
else
saying-
is making this decision.
well, people
Obama
think
is still the
no,
president.
he's still the president, but people do. Come on, we all know that. Although there is always a president, the country is ruled by committee.
Yeah, but
one person never makes
he
one
still has to
decision.
fight. But he still
I don't care if
fight.
it's black, white, Latino, Asian, or whatever.
Yeah, but I don't think that I think that Obama has always been that type of leader. first of all, let me be very clear. You know what I'm saying? I think that he has just probably always had that sort
But
of
he just
leadership
campaigned on
thing.
that.
If you
He
look
has
at
been. If you look at his
right,
record, he has
right.
been.
If you look at the Illinois state, right.
Campaign.
But what I'm trying to say is Sheila hasn't.
But I
And
don't
I'm
see where
saying,
Brian would have
and I'm
been
saying that
substantially different.
she hasn't had that, and it changed because the folks that got her there said to her, "This is what we want you to do."
Well, that begs another
And that's
question.
a problem.
That
That's
begs-
different to me.
That begs another question. Do you believe that people who work for political power brokers should hold public office, or do you believe that you should have those types of jobs, like she works for the county?
Exactly.
So do you believe that
Conflict of interest?
I think it's a
there's
conflict.
of interest?
But even if it, listen, here's the thing, right? I think that at the end of the day that Sheila has to work. But the problem, the issue that I'm having is still be of your own mind. The issue that I have is that these folks aren't going to respect, and I want to make this, because I think we're going way beyond the time that we should. But, I think the problem that I have is that if we're going to put people in office, especially in our community, the problem that we tend to do is we continue to accept everybody else saying this is our leader. And what happens is, like you said, that's what goes on, that we tend to get people who either work for this person, they're part of this group, they're part of this machine, and we never really get the true leadership capabilities out of these people that's in office. I'm going to say it again. I think that Sheila Oliver is a progressive legislator. I think that she is down with the working people in this state. However, I believe the people that put her there in that position, as I'm saying to you right now, that Sheila Oliver was a speaker, that she would have voted against the pension reform and healthcare reform bill. That's what I'm saying. Yes, I'm telling you that. I believe that. I'm saying that Sheila Oliver would have been, but because of her role as speaker and who put her in the speaker position, because the speaker position, because you got to understand, we had another black woman too that was trying to be speaker too. Let's be clear about that. All right, so let's not forget the fact that we had Blondie Watson, who was, for a lot of people concerned, that she should have been it, by the way.
Right.
But because of the power broker that was going around, Sheila got it, right?
Right.
So listen, but at the end of the day, be speaker. You know what I'm saying? Be the speaker that I know as a legislator that you are, not as a progressive
But now,
person.
let me ask you this question as we wrap up. Now, is it about being a speaker? Isn't the speaker about compromising?
Yeah,
Isn't being a
that's
speaker about compromising?
It's not about your personal.
we can-
It's not about, no, it's
We
not
can
about
debate
that.
that issue all day. If I was speaker, I would be Rahman Muhammad.
Okay.
You've only been
You
speaker
was
one
speaker.
term.
So what?
You would be that type of speaker, but
What?
by definition of what a speaker
You are a
is
leader. A
supposed
leader has to
be.
compromise from
A
time to
leader
time.
has to
I'm sorry.
compromise.
A leader has to
Well,
compromise.
it's not. I'm not saying that compromise. I'm not saying because I've compromised. The problem here is that I don't compromise my principles. There's a difference to me.
And you're saying
what I'm
she
saying?
compromised
And
her
I'm saying that she compromised her principles. That's what I believe.
To keep a seat.
I believe those. Yes, to keep a seat. I think there are some deep core principles that Sheila has. That's about working people. That's about being progressive.
So
that
would you
she
tell people to
compromised
support her next
because
election?
she was speaker.
Would you tell people to vote for her next election?
To vote for her as an assembly person, but I think that right now, the way she got the Norcrosses and the Jodies keeping her speaker, I wouldn't, if I had a chance to vote for her to be speaker, she couldn't have my vote as speaker. No. I'm saying me, personally. If I was in the assembly, no. Not as long as Jodie and George Norcross are the people who's making the deal to make sure she's speaking. No, but vote for her as assembly, of course, because I'm going to say it again. I think she's a progressive assembly person.
And I think all
You know what I'm
speakers
saying?
make deals.
I think all speakers make it.
Well, I know, but
You make
young.
deals.
They don't have to
make a lot of
deal.
deals.
They don't have to deal with
Don't
working
need nothing for 'em.
They don't have to deal with the working people here.
Then you the one that wore that shirt, I endorsed book, and all I got was the shirt.
That wasn't the deal. That wasn't the deal. That was actually a message. So listen, I want to thank everybody. I see we had a lively discussion. I want to thank my two co-hosts for keeping it lively as always and holding strong to their the beliefs. I did want to mention the fact that the Occupy Newark chapter, which is led by I don't know if it's led by, but let me say that Cassandra and Donna are and Street Doctor, I think, have been really pushing to the Occupy Newark situation. They've been going on the steps of City Hall every Tuesday at noon protesting, but they're supposed to move it to Military Park
Yes.
on the 17th, and they're asking people to participate and come into Military Park and actually camping out with them in Military Park. So if you available to camp out on the 17th at Military Park, with Occupy North, please come out and support the
It's the
movement.
60s and 70s all over again.
Thanks a lot, folks.
Power
See you
to
next
the
time.
people.
Power to the people.